just... Oh. I was gonna say we've just finished watching a couple of really helpful videos um, by the Infinity System, which we really appreciated. Um, but we haven't just finished watching them. We watched them like an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, maybe. Oh, I'm having a fucking moment. Oh my god. Uh, okay. In the relative span of time we've just finished watching them. It was they were really useful. It was they've got a playlist series of like 3 videos called Denying DID, and it's like we've watched them over the course of like the last couple of days because we're trying to slow down and do stuff at a level that's like I keep reading posts that suggest that like integrating things and changing, like rewiring your nervous system, happens easier when we sort of slow down to a pace that's probably unfamiliar for a lot of trauma survivors. Like, I don't know about you, but I definitely feel like I live with things kind of sped up feeling. Like, kind of having the pace of just like going and going and going until I burn out, and then that crash kind of slows me down for a few days, and then I come back to just going and going and going again. And that's kind of just like my usual pace. So slowing things down leaves me feeling like I'm not really doing enough, inverted commas, and like it feels weird. It feels like there's it really, yeah, just it feels like I'm not doing enough, and like I don't know, it's kind of itchy like to my brain. I don't know how to describe it. It's it's weird, but it's definitely uncomfortable. It makes me feel like there's not enough time in my entire life to do everything I want to do, and like I don't know, like I'm wasting time, or like I'm wasting my life. Like it's a lot of really weird shit that it makes me think and feel. But a lot of the healing we've done has seemed so far to teach me that like if we sit in the discomfort, it changes, and this is how we heal and how we grow, and how unfamiliar things can start to become our new norm once we've adapted to them. And generally it's worth the effort, so I'm like trying to make a considered effort to do things slower than I feel like I need to. So we have we have watched the third part of that series today. We watched the first and second yesterday, and God, it was really in both cases. It's a really profound impact it's had. And it's really strange. Like the watching the first part yesterday, I was like seeing their response of how denial presented for them when they were coming to terms with their diagnosis, and I was like, it's like it's like so much of my brain was watching that and going, that is exactly how I felt. That I understand that. That looks like how I experience feeling things and what sort of things my brain says or deals with. But it's like it's really meta, the fucking denial, because it does it while it's doing it. So like I'll be watching somebody else's another system's response to denial and being like, yeah, that looks exactly like my experience, while my brain is not taking that as like it would be nice if my brain would be like, ah, oh, snap, shared experience, there's one more reason why I can see that the denial is just part of the disorder, and like clearly we have a shared experience here that's similar. But instead it's looking at it being like, wow, the I wonder why I have this shared experience with systems, or like this is a part of me being like, there's some other reason why I find this so relatable. It's like at this point any other reason would make so much less sense. And also I will discuss this the with my system mates, and we will have full on conversations about my denial while I'm still having denial, and it's like, okay, the conversations in and of themselves kind of go in the face of denial and should really just be proof enough. But no, I will have instead of them responding to me being proof, I will just talk to them about the denial and be like, yeah, see, totally have every reason to feel this way, and just get looked at by them like, oh yeah. So it's like it was really weird because I kind of noticed that it was that was happening. So it's like I was going, oh shit, this is really relatable. This is the like I really feel this response, and my brain is trying to find reasons why I feel this response other than this being my reality. Like it's still trying to find reasons it can hook onto for why this isn't real. Or like it's like I can cognitively think of this stuff on the one level, and then another level of me is like, I don't know, there's like an under level of like not really having accepted this. It's like it's almost like part of me tries to humor another part of me, is kind of how it feels. It's like, it's a really weird feeling to describe. It's like being able to engage with something without ever really looking at it or focusing on it. So like I can I can talk to other people in my system, and I can switch and I can co-con and I can engage with all of this, but like a part of me is not looking and going, yeah, but like if I really tried, I could, I don't know, like stop this from happening, or like if I really focused on it, it would stop, or it wouldn't be the case, or something. But it's like actually, there's there is no evidence that I can shut anyone in here up ever. Not that I'd want to. It's just that's what they that's what they have cleverly gone with. Like in moments where I'm just like, ah, oh, dude, what if I'm making up your half of the conversation? Val, and sorry, Valentine will just be like, oh, shut me up then, and or like choose for me not to say anything, and that just doesn't work. So there's like, but my brain will still be like, yeah, but if I really tried, it's like, it's, I don't know if that's cognitive dissonance that I'm describing. Like, I'm not sure exactly what process it is, but it's like the belief is always held on the back burner without ever having to examine the reason the denial is there. It's like it can stop stuff from being pulled right into my view. by kind of like loosely having the denial, but not really having a concrete reason for it because we're never looking at it to disprove it or prove it. So it's like this part of me is always constantly kind of doing that. And well, since this part of me since the last since my fusion with the host line, like it's so weird as well because like part of me has always known that we were a system. Part of me is like, this is standard. Like me and Valentine used to, and Connor, we used to, Wandy, some fusion terminology aside, but like we always used to play together. And when we were really little, I'm pretty sure the part of me that's host knew too. But then like I don't know if it like if I started thinking, oh maybe they're just imaginary friends, or like, oh wait, people aren't supposed to keep having imaginary friends as they grow up, so I can't talk to these people anymore or something. Like I think there was some sort of change over the years, but half of me at least never, the part of me that isn't used to being host, I guess is the best way to phrase that, is like, yeah, this is standard. We've always known there were more of us in here than just one person and talked about it, and like known that things can get really shaky if we talk out loud or do weird shit in front of the host. So like, and sometimes it's just you feel like entirely blocked, or even you would do stuff and it's like they didn't see it. It's really fucking weird. So there's like all this knowledge and all this experience for my whole life of having been a system and knowing we're a system, and then the other half of me that's like host, just being like having, on the one hand, a lot of memories making like a lot more sense, and being like, yeah, okay, this like a lot of shit just really adds up that didn't make any sense before this, but if you since finding out we are a system, like it makes a lot of stuff make a lot of sense. And then also it's like, even though I logically know that and I think that, I guess it's just the way it's a defense, because it doesn't feel like it's a choice or a thought to be like, yeah, but I'm still making it up. But it happens still. And it happens more like the nearer I am to intense traumas. Like like since fusing and putting these two parts together, it's so weird. And it's been like, it's like a learning curve in two ways. Like part of me learning how to experience denial and being like, oh, that's fucking weird, because I can have undeniable proof of something. My brain will still be like, yeah, but, and it's like it's so weird. And then the other half of me be like, have these memories and knowledge that I've always known this to be the case. It's like all my memories seem to be in split screen now between like multiple parts, not just the two, but it's like the two viewpoints, I guess, between multiple parts of which parts knew and which parts were sent into denial and like blocked from knowing, I guess. It's really fucking strange. And so there was that, and then part two of their video series has a lot of information in it. It's really, really helpful. I would thoroughly recommend that series. And it's it's interesting because they say trauma doesn't lie, and it's like it's similar to like what I've heard before. We spoke to the police at one point, and they said that like you can file a report and you can get people sentenced based off of like they'll take your symptoms as evidence as long as it's like man it's like it's it's not as simple as that makes it sound, but that bit is like the symptoms are a hard science and can be used as evidence as long as you have enough of like a cause to effect chain of things to remember to recite, which also is harrowing and horrifying in a lot of many ways. So this is why I'm like not simple, but the concept that memories and symptoms of trauma are taken as evidence because they are a hard science that is irrefutable stuck with me, and it's like it shows that again that trauma doesn't lie because you couldn't and I get what they mean, I get what they're saying because like you couldn't fake the interactive um interlaced holistic effect on multiple layers and multiple levels in the mind and emotions and nervous system and body of the trauma. And that is like so I had to like pause and rewatch the video because whenever I get to evidence that's irrefutable, that my brain can't be like, yeah, but too, then I just blank it sometimes and I'm just like I'd watch it and then completely forget what we've just watched. And be like just it's fucking bizarre, yo. Like I just watched the sentence and I know what the sentence said and I don't, and it's gone. And it's like I couldn't tell you. And then rewatch it and be like, oh yeah, of course, and then just like zone the fuck out. And Valentine's just being there, like this is also a symptom, and like this is also this happening in effect. So it was really fucking meta because it's like I was watching this video where the Infinity System was talking about how trauma doesn't lie and talking about the symptoms, and I'm experiencing the symptoms as I try to integrate the fact that I have symptoms, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is this is fairly irrefutable right now. And it took a while, but I do remember the contents of that video now. It's blurry though. It's like it takes me a second to recall. It's not clear, but I do remember. And I've been so fucking tired since watching it. I watched it and I'm pretty sure we just like I just sort of sat and spaced out for ages afterwards. Not like unpleasant, just like totally drained. It's so weird having to deal with denial in the parts of me that have never had to deal with denial. And it's weird having to deal with denial in the parts of me that have always dealt with denial because the denial has always been just allowed, I guess, or not unquestioned. Like it's always been left unquestioned. I'd get steered away from looking at something and be effectively steered away and not notice it or forget it. Or the other part of me wouldn't get denial. I wouldn't be blanked from shit. So it's so weird for all of me in two or a few different ways to deal with. And it's like I've really noticed it lately. Yeah, also like I swear I swear it flares up more if I have to be more functional. Like, because we just had to deal with like a load of bureaucracy and phone calls and stuff, which is fucking difficult at the best of times. And like, oh my god, even just, I don't do phone calls. Like one fucking important phone call would per 6 months would be fortunate. Like, panic attacks, horrifying, exhausting, not fun. So like it really takes a serious toll to have to deal with that sort of stuff. And like the entire week or maybe 2 weeks of dealing with that, it's been really, really, really hard to talk to anyone else in my system. And like everyone inside sounds muffled, like further away from me. And switching has been a bitch. Like it's been like 2 years of practice and we've gotten quite good at it. So like it's really weird for it to be there's some days where it's like it's not like I forget I'm the host of a system, but also in some ways it's like I don't remember that I am, or like I haven't forgotten, but it's like it doesn't come up to my brain, or like my brain is really trying very hard to look the other way. But luckily, I really miss everyone in my system if I don't talk to them for like a couple of hours. So we check in frequently, even if like people have had to use a megaphone inside and like do all sorts of clever shit to get my attention in there. And it's like it's hard. It's hard to bring myself to remembering to check in, and also then it's just logistically, physically taxing and difficult to check in. Way more this week or 2 weeks. And I swear, it's like my brain going, if you're going to deal with phone calls and have to be functional for everyday life, then you just have to be like further apart from this stuff. Which is not what I actually want. It might have been what our brain learned to do as a survival tactic when we were growing up, but it's not the goal. The goal is to be functional as a system, and I would like switches to be able to be as frequent as they need to be and fluid, because I also get a headache if I like stay out in the front alone for too long without anyone switching with me or taking over. Hey, Papa. So it's like, it feels like my brain tries to make me run things as a singlet sometimes, but can't because I don't work like that, and it's too much to deal with just one person. It's okay. So then I burn out. So it's like it feels way more healthy and like a release of pressure if we switch. But it's also really hard to engage with and to do. We've managed a bit more today and yesterday than just recently. Like Connor came out and watched some old, I was gonna call them cartoons, but he was like, not really sure if they're cartoons. I think they're more like stop motions. It's so weird. It's like hearing him talk through a door, like down a hallway or something. It's like, man, it's been so much clearer than that. I know we'll get it back. It'll be clear again. But yeah, he came out and watched some stop motions and stuff. It's like, it feels like these last couple of days, although people have managed to switch in, is like my brain tries to, I don't know, fence. That's not quite the right. It feels like I try to like tense up around them, and like there's a strong feeling of resistance, and like gotta prevent, and I gotta do some serious work to like sit back and relax and be able to either go inside or just sit and chill and watch and experience somebody else controlling the body. It's been like massive strain lately. But it was really cool that he managed to come out and watch some stop motion / old kids TV programs. And then today we watched the third part. I'm still like, I want to watch the second part again because that one's really really fuzzy to me still when I try and think about it. And I know that was like the most relevant. Like I sat there going, oh shit, that's like that explains, and like I identify with so much of that. And I'm just going, oh yeah, that's like this in our life, and like that over here, and like this symptom, and like that thing that happens, and like this feeling, like that issue. And I remember the sensation of that as I watched it, but I don't remember what everything was to, and I would like to be able to. So I'm gonna take a bit of a rest and then watch it again. Today we watched the third part, which was really, really validating and comforting and reassuring, I think. And I am exhausted suddenly. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Oh my god, I'm tired. It's like, it feels like such a balance. Like, the denial's not so bad in part of me, but the more we work on fusing and integrating these subsystems, former subsystems, multifaceted people with many parts. That sounds more accurate. That feels more accurate now. Then it's like the more I experience denial, which would make sense. I'm not complaining. I totally see why that would happen. And I'm like, yeah, I signed up for this and I'm willing to work through it. It's also just like, it's fucking mad to see because, dude, my brain changes so much in like a split second, depending on how this fusion's going or like day to day. It's very wild. My responses to things, even. Really appreciative of that video series. It helped a lot. I have been repeating trauma doesn't lie to myself, along with what I was going with before, which is like trauma symptoms are a hard science. Trauma symptoms can be used as evidence. So it's nice to have that one to add as well, and it's got some weight to it. It's good. It's like it feels a bit like slamming into a brick wall, but I don't know how to explain why that's good, but that's good. I can't like, yeah, but wibbly wobbly my way away from it. It's like an immediate sort of slam of, or yeah, shit. Whenever I get to something, which is good because I didn't like the way denial was like making me respond to the memories that we were getting. Like, there's some parts of me that have way more memories of quite a few years of significant trauma. And every time I'd get a memory, it, like, even though I know it's a defense and I know it's protection, so I'm not like blaming myself for it, but at the same time, having my brain respond with denial kind of felt like really fucking invalidating and dismissive. So it would be kind of this like tunneling down into like sort of hypo-arousal, I guess, like sort of frantic version of depression, which was not fun. And I felt a lot worse when it was, ah, man, shouldn't be worse. Should be just as bad. And I noticed feeling worse if it was somebody else in this system whose memories I was like not intentionally denying, because it's not like I'd go with it, but thoughts of that can't possibly have happened coming up, and then me immediately being like, ah, fuck, sorry, I don't think that. It's just, it's really hard to accept the fact that this unthinkable thing is real. And like I didn't like the way that bounced off and hurt other people in my system. So I'm really grateful for any tools we have that can kind of make me hit a wall against it. For a while, like, even with the denial going off, my go-to would just be, well, for a while, I'm sorry, but that tends to piss some people in here off because I say it about everything, or I did, I guess. And so I just default to, whenever I felt the denial hit, I'd kind of like shout over the denial, like block it out, and just be like, I believe you, that's awful. And that would kind of cut it off. But also that could send me into like, it might be derealization. So it's a difficult balance. But I feel like we're getting pretty good at balancing this just like fucking impossible amount of shit to balance. And those videos are one more thing that I can refer back to that can help sort of ground me back into the horrific reality instead of denial, which is what I want. Okay, I'm so tired. I feel like I've never slept before. I'm going to sleep. I hope you're having the least shit time possible, all you awesome fuckers. Take care. We'll see you in the next one.